Part 50. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 491. Wen Qiao squinted at him. If it was your employee who was sick and hospitalized, would you visit him? Won't. Wen Qiao, you are too cold-blooded. It is too miserable to be your employee. What if it is Qin Bei, Song'an or Fu Chuan? Fu Nanli raised his eyebrows. How many years have they been with me, and how long has this boy been in your club? Wen Qiao put her arms around his neck. Mr. Fu really wants to make trouble for no reason, and I can't help it. Fu Nanli shook his phone. Who would send this photo to me? Wen Qiao shook her head. Maybe a woman who likes you happened to see it, took a photo secretly and sent it to you. I asked someone to check it. It was sent from a network IP address, and I couldn't find out who the other party was. Wen Qiao stared at the photo. It must have been taken by your admirer, trying to sow discord. Fu Nanli stroked her back gently, but did not speak. If that's the case, he has nothing to worry about. If not, if someone has ulterior motives, then. If a boy with ulterior motives has already sneaked into her side, shouldn't he pay more attention? Wen Qiao dragged his hand. It's getting late, you bled a lot yesterday, go to bed early. Late at night, everything was silent in the hospital, half of the lights in the corridor were extinguished, and the light was a little dim. Gu Xiao hung up the last injection of water, looked at the night outside the window, and sat by the bed, wondering what was in his eyes. He got up and walked to the window. Every step he took, the incision of the incision would bring pain. He stretched out his hand to hold onto the window sill. His eyes were dim and his mind was full of thoughts. Would Wen Qiao lie to him? Yes, she came to visit other boys, so she probably wouldn't tell the truth to her boyfriend. Based on what he knew about Wen Qiao, she might have concealed it from the young master in order not to waste time explaining. A smile finally appeared on his pale face. The next day, in the morning, with the light of the morning light, the nanny knocked on Wen Qiao's door after making breakfast, and then left. Wen Qiao knocked on Fu Nanli's door again. Both her and Fu Nanli's bedrooms are upstairs. She stretched out her hand to hold the doorknob, and gently opened it. The room was dark, and when she saw the man's strong back muscles, her steps stopped immediately, and she was about to turn around. Come here. The man's voice was deep and hoarse, with the laziness and sexiness of getting up in the morning, which made Sue's ears feel hot. Wen Qiao could only walk over. Why? My hand is hurt, help me get dressed. His hands were still wrapped in gauze, and he was indeed seriously injured. What are you going to wear? In the closet, just take a white shirt. Wen Qiao picked and picked, feeling that his white shirts all looked similar, so he took out a white shirt at random, and half kneeled on one leg beside the bed to help him dress. She raised her hand as she said, and Fu Nanli's big hand was loosely around her waist, enjoying her service with peace of mind. Wen Qiao carefully helped him fasten the buttons one by one. Her fingers always seemed to rub against his strong and powerful abdominal muscles. Fu Nanli lowered his eyes, and his Adam's apple rolled heavily. Wen Qiao understood this man now. After all, his mouth has been bitten by a certain man so many times. If he doesn't improve, it would be a waste of work. He felt that his breathing was a little heavy, so he quickened his hand movements, and finally buttoned it. Fu Nanli got up and took her by the hand to go to the bathroom. Hey, what? Today, I'm also acting like a baby, asking for a monthly ticket, and asking for a recommendation ticket. Thank you Qiao's Wild Mother fans for their support, I love you. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 492. After brushing my teeth, you can twist the towel for me. I want to wash my face. Wen Qiao, oh. Otherwise what do you think I'm going to do? It's nothing, he. While he was brushing his teeth, Wen Qiao was also brushing his teeth. Fu Nanli was lazily leaning on the sink, his eyes lingering on her face, which was hotter than the morning sun in June. Wen Qiao quickly spit out the foam in his mouth and drool, spit it out, then turn on the tap, wet the towel and squeeze it dry. He had also brushed his teeth, and there was toothpaste foam on the corner of his mouth. Wen Qiao first reached out to help him wipe off the toothpaste foam. Wen Qiao tiptoed, "You should be shorter." Fu Nanli leaned against the sink, and Wen Qiao helped him wash his face meticulously. The towel covered his eyebrows to the bridge of his nose, and the morning sun shone in through the blinds, brightly and darkly spreading on his deep-featured face, and the color of his lips also changed. Like a rose stained with early morning dew, Wen Qiao's hands became more and more gentle. After washing up, the two went downstairs together. Every time, before his uncle and aunt had breakfast, Shen Tian had already resolved it quickly, trying not to appear in front of his uncle, trying not to cause trouble for his uncle, and trying not to be a light bulb between the two big brothers. In fact, it was mainly because he couldn't beat him. His uncle beat him like he was crushing an ant. He was really afraid. When his uncle and aunt went downstairs, he quickly rolled back downstairs. After breakfast, Li Fang, the headmaster, personally came over to change the young master's dressing. After all, it was pierced by a steel bar. If this thing is a little careless, it may be fatal if it is infected with tetanus. Li Fangzhe carefully sterilized him, changed the dressing and wrapped gauze, and dispensed another injection of liquid medicine. Another injection of water today will do. Understood. Yesterday, because of his restless movements, a large area of bruises appeared on the back of his right hand. Wen Qiao boiled an egg and pressed it for him to promote blood circulation and remove blood stasis. After he finished hanging the water, Wen Qiao left his apartment. After all, he still had to go to school, and the final exam was coming soon, so the task was very heavy. Not long after Wen Qiao left, his bodyguard Song An came over. Both Song An and Qin Bei are in their 30s and have worked in the Fu family for a long time. They are definitely the kind of loyalty that can risk their lives for Fu Nanli. Besides Fu Chuan, he is also the person Fu Nanli trusts the most. How about it? Song An said in a low voice. The arrangement was made early in the morning, and the evidence points to Master Fu Cheng. Fu Nanli lowered his eyes. Well, don't make any mistakes. It's the young master. In the European-style villa near the lake, Fu Cheng's expression was not very good. He had been drinking in the morning, and 2 large ice cubes were added to the whiskey in the sherry barrel. In the summer morning, it was so cold that it hit his heart. His mother came in with a solemn face. Your Majesty was injured at the construction site yesterday, do you know? Understood. Did you do it? Fu Cheng clenched his fist slightly. Do you think I'm the same as that idiot Fu Zhang? I never do anything to hurt him. He also came back from Wall Street, and he will only use business warfare to win everything. He Rui frowned, but I heard that the evidence points to you. Fu Cheng's hand holding the cup suddenly paused, vaguely feeling that this was a game set up by his brother, and the smile on the corner of his mouth was a bit bitter. He never felt that Fu Nanli was ignorant of the business world, so he had been hiding in the dark all the time, not as ambitious as Fu Zhang and even did not hesitate to kill him. What he wanted was never his brother's life. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 493. He just wants to fight for something for himself, each according to his ability. But it really wasn't me. Hirui, Fu Cheng, don't you understand? It doesn't matter what you did, what matters is that in the eyes of the outside world, even the police, You did this. What did I tell you? I told you not to go. Why are you disobedient if you mess with him? Fu Cheng is obviously not the same kind of person as Fu Zhang. Even at this time, he did not appear flustered. You don't have to worry about my affairs, I will take care of it myself. The phone rang, it was a call from Fu Nanli. The voice of the person on the other end was deep, unable to detect any emotion. Let's have dinner together tonight. Okay, brother. After hanging up the phone, Hirui was worried. Fu Nanli invited you to dinner. Yes. Why didn't you refuse? Why refuse? He is my brother after all. Aren't you afraid it's a hangmen banquet? I've told you repeatedly that Fu Nanli has never been a good person. Fu Cheng pressed his mother's shoulder. Okay, it's fine. In the Xiaotangshan club that night, the long tables under the crystal chandelier were covered with white tablecloths, and the goblets and silver-plated knives and forks shone under the light. When Fu Cheng entered, Fu Nanli was already sitting, and he smiled and called brother as if nothing happened. Fu Nanli also smiled at him. Sit down. Fu Nanli sat on the main seat, and Fu Cheng sat down beside him. Brother, is your injury okay? Fu Nanli held the silver chopsticks with his slender fingers, and smiled on the surface. I can't die. Fu Cheng lowered his eyes and put vegetables into the bone dish. That's good, I'm worried. Fu Nanli finally looked up at him. As a result of the police investigation, some evidence points to you. Do you have anything to say? He spoke so calmly, as if he was talking about drinking together tonight. Fu Cheng paused, and the air seemed to freeze. It was obviously a peaceful atmosphere, but Fu Cheng vaguely sensed the imposing manner of swords being drawn. After a long while, he laughed. He smiled. Brother, I don't. Fu Nanli's expression could not be seen to be happy or angry. He just dropped the chopsticks in his hand and wiped the corner of his mouth with a silk handkerchief beside him. The police said that the evidence points to you, and I really don't believe it. Fu Cheng looked at his brother. There must be some misunderstanding. The corner of Fu Nanli's mouth slightly raised. The Fu family has already produced a Fu Zhang, and he is already in jail. Yes, the hand holding the chopsticks was tightly clenched, with veins showing. I don't want the Fu family to produce another Fu Zhang. The Fu family will become the talk and laughing stock of others. Brother is right, I always remember it in my heart. I've already told the police that it shouldn't be you. It's just that the police focus on facts and evidence. The evidence points to your bodyguard. I won't interfere with the law. Fu Cheng's hand holding the chopsticks was tightened, and the corner of his mouth smiled helplessly. He set up a trick to make him take the blame, and said it so grandly. His cousin, he really underestimated him, seriously underestimated him. It's strange to say that he studied abroad since he was a child, and Zhonghuan is the only prince, so he doesn't have to fight for anything. He doesn't understand where his brother's scheming comes from. In the final analysis, I am afraid it is born. What brother said is that maybe my bodyguard did such a treacherous thing behind my back. If it is really him, I will definitely not condone and raise him, and I will definitely hand him over to the police. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me. The boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 494. Fu Nanli smiled. If it's really your bodyguard, I will definitely restrain the people below, Fu Cheng said. Both of them had secretive smiles on their faces. Fu Cheng knew that his brother wasn't really trying to do anything to him this time, but was just beating him, alerting him, breaking off the most powerful arm around him, and giving him a warning. If he dared to make any moves again, maybe he would. Brother really wants to take some action. This meal, how could Fu Nanli taste anything? When the dinner was almost over, Fu Nanli asked again, you led Fu Zhang to do the Nanbin Island matter, didn't you? Fu Cheng's eyes flickered slightly. Before he came here, he had thought about what questions his brother might ask him, and he had already prepared a response in his heart, but when he was really asked so bluntly, he found that he was still, a little uncomfortable. Calm down. Yes. Since his brother asked this question, it is obvious that there is evidence, and there is no point in sophistry. Fu Nanli held the goblet and gently swirled a little red wine at the bottom of the glass. So is it to trap me on the island, or is there some other purpose? Fu Cheng's jaw muscles tensed slightly, and then he met his brother's narrow eyes. I know Fu Zhang wants to plot against you, so I used him, mainly to deal with Fu Zhang. Fu Nanli's thin lips were tightly pursed, showing no emotion. After a while, he finally said, business wars are fine, but don't implicate innocent people. You've been with me for so long, you should know what my bottom line is. It would be best if he didn't know about Jiao's 13-day deadline. Even if he was smart enough to guess it from the clues, he wouldn't try to use it to threaten and hurt Jiao. Fu Nanli's voice was too sinister. Fu Cheng was sweating, and lowered his eyes. I know what your bottom line is. When Fu Cheng left, the servant removed all the dishes from the table. He stood by the window, looking at the flowers in the yard, and the night breeze was gentle. The cousins who were close to him were Fu Chuan and Fu Cheng. Fu Chuan is even more taciturn than him, more like a partner. Fu Cheng is cheerful, talkative, and familiar with himself. He has been with him since he was a child. He went to study in the UK together, and later went to the United States to study together. On Wall Street, he returned home and joined an airline company. When a person grows up, ambition grows with him. Soon, after Fu Zhang, Fu Cheng's ambition to embezzle property that did not belong to him quietly appeared on various forum tabloids. Fu Cheng's bodyguard was also detained for this reason. Fu Cheng didn't do anything, but was accused of attempting to murder his brother and letting the bodyguard cover him. He smiled helplessly. Another careerist, He Yan, is not having an easy life. She is also the bodyguard who is responsible for the crime, but now wherever she goes, there will be all kinds of discussions about her behind her. After all, the fact that she asked others to help her design jewelry with her name on it was exposed before, and now she can be said to be notorious. She searched around and found out that it was Wen Qiao who said that she had picked up her earrings on the cruise ship, and the police followed the clues to find her, and finally had to ask the bodyguard to take the blame for her. He Yan was sitting in a nightclub drinking, her mobile phone rang, and the shop was noisy. She went out the back door and stood under a banyan tree, with her mobile phone in one hand and a women's cigarette in the other, smoking slowly, talking to the person on the other end of the phone. Humanity, she is really a ruthless character. He didn't realize that there was a person sitting on the tree trunk above his head. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 495. Wen Qiao knew that it was not difficult for He Yan to find out about her handing over the earrings to the police, and she didn't intend to hide it. It made her feel uncomfortable to let He Yan always play dirty tricks behind her back, so she might as well play the bright card. She sat on the old banyan tree and waited for He Yan to come out. At this moment, He Yan stood under the tree and made a phone call with a contemptuous voice. Oh, it's all done by my bodyguard. What does it have to do with me? What can Wen Qiao do to me? Wen Qiao just had too many delusions. She thought that Nan Li was special to her, so she had delusions for no reason. Wen Qiao shook her legs lightly and shook her head. This He Yan's obsession with Fu Nanli made her feel very uncomfortable. The people below said again, Fang Duo? That idiot is just a pawn, but her hands are useless. Who told her to be so stupid? Huh, I made it very clear. I was in love with him, so I stole my earrings and put them on my body. He did everything. I don't know anything. What can Wen Qiao do to me? A person like her has a heart as high as the sky, with one heart climbing Gao Zhi'er, getting her reputation ruined by Fang Duo. Shouldn't it be her own fault, and she deserves it? When Xiao finally couldn't listen anymore, and jumped up, He Yan was startled. The phone fell on the ground, just about to pick it up, when Xiao stepped on the phone, the screen shattered. He Yan raised her eyes to see Xiao, she couldn't help it. Just like Sulu used to panic when she saw Xiao. Xiao? Do I need to call the police and call you a stalker? Xiao lowered her head and smiled, should I call the police? Yes, then I will talk to the police about kidnapping Fang Duo. He Yan raised her chin, the police pay attention to evidence when handling cases. Where are you going to start? Xiao, don't be so naive, you can't do anything about me. With a slap, Xiao's slap made He Yan fall to the wall behind her. The woman glared angrily, Xiao, you dare to hit me? Xiao pressed her shoulders and turned her head to look at her, this slap is for Fang Duo. She is a little innocent and a little stupid, but she is irrelevant and should not be involved by you. He Yan didn't expect Xiao to have such great strength, and she tried to struggle but to no avail. Slap, another slap, He Yan was on the verge of being irritable. Xiao, why did you hit me? What are you? She, He Yan, is a daughter of a famous family. She has been loved by thousands of people since she was a child. Everyone admires and flatters her. Her parents and brothers dote on her. She has good looks, excellent studies, and talent in jewelry design. And Xiao? She is just the most inconspicuous weed, but she has gained a little attention for a while with her outstanding appearance. In the end, everyone must return to their respective positions. Why did this ignorant slut beat her? Xiao looked at her coldly, this slap was for me. What right do you have to let me be implicated in your love and hatred? Why do you deliberately frame me? This is your famous daughter means. Do you know why brother Nanli doesn't like you? It's because your thoughts are too dark. I, Xiao, have never been like you. I only hide in the dark and do some dirty and shameful deeds. He Yan's expression was distorted. Why do you preach to me? What are you? What is your position? Xiao put his hands in his pockets, and glanced at her coldly. The main purpose of my coming today is to tell you that if I really wanted to hold you accountable, you wouldn't be standing here today and using your bodyguards to go to jail. The main reason why this matter came to an end is that your elder brother He Jun is brother Nanli's best friend, and I don't want brother Nanli to look bad. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 496. He Yan's sensitive nerves were stimulated by her bite after brother Nanli. She recalled that when she was in high school, she also called her that way, but Fu Nanli stopped her indifferently, just call me Nanli, or call me Feynman in English. He was such a cold person, but he was so fascinated by this little girl that he lost his principles. She said these words so wildly that she almost fell into her trap. Fortunately, she tried her best to stay awake, and said with a sneer, "Little girl, how old are you? Do you really think Nanli likes you so much?" Xiao smiled, anyone with a discerning eye should be able to see how much brother Nanli likes me. If you deceive yourself and others and don't want to believe it, I won't bother to prove it to you. You don't need to prove your love. He used to be very nice to me. Do you know what we went through together? At that time we were studying together in England. The white people in the school liked to bully the Orientals, but they didn't dare to bully Nanli and my brother. I was often bullied. People are blackmailing, and Nanli helps me out every time, so his kindness to you is not very special. You don't have to be so complacent. The fact is, every time it was her own brother who helped her out. Fu Nanli seemed to have shut down all five senses, and he didn't feel anything when she was selling miserably in front of him with her face covered in bruises. She comforted herself, it was because Fu Nanli hadn't recovered from the pain of losing his father in those years. If he had redeemed his soul, and saw her being bullied, he would definitely stand up for her. If what you said is true, it means that brother Nanli has a sense of justice. If you are just making up stories, it means that your paranoia is a little serious. My suggestion is to go to the hospital for treatment. He Yan's expression cracked slightly. Wen Xiao, I advise you not to interfere in my life anymore. If you are still stubborn, then I don't mind finding a place for you to settle down in prison. I will only look at your brother's face once, and there will be no next time. After finishing speaking, she turned and left, her shadow dragged very long in the narrow and long alley. He Yan didn't even know how she got back to her residence. The doorbell rang in this big empty house, which startled her. Through the peephole, she saw that it was her secretary, and opened the door. As soon as the door opened, the secretary said anxiously, Miss, like the jewelry company before, several companies under your name were strongly short-sold by an overseas company, and it was revealed that there was a financial report trap, and the Hong Kong stock market plummeted. He Yan's eyes went black for a moment. Let my brother save the market, what are you doing here? Her brother is a Wall Street tycoon, and manipulating the stock market is just a piece of cake. I already talked to Mr. He on the way here. Mr. He said that it was too late. The other party knew his operation path very well, and blocked all the possibility of saving the market. He Yan stretched out her hand to support a corner of the cabinet. The other party knew her brother's operation path well. Who else would know her brother's behavior style? Besides his best friend Fu Nanli, who else could it be? Is the overseas company owned by Fu Nanli? It's another person, but I found out that that person has invested a huge amount in Chiao Rugby Club, and probably has a close relationship with Mr. Fu. He Yan suddenly felt like a stick in her throat. Because of Wen Xiao, Fu Nanli even disregarded his brother's face to deal with her. Fu Nanli, is he crazy? Is he crazy? Apart from being pretty, Wen Xiao had something special about him that made him ignore the affection of his old friend of more than 10 years. He Yan sat slumped on the sofa, her eyes were slack. She couldn't believe it, but she couldn't believe it. She doesn't believe in not committing a crime, and she has no other way to punish that girl. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 497. Haikan summer heats up little by little, winter is very cold, summer is very hot, but there are 4 distinct seasons. Wen Xiao likes it very much. The final season is approaching, and the atmosphere of study in the dormitory is getting stronger again. Wen Xiao has a high IQ. Although she hasn't tested it, she thinks it's not much worse than Xiao Mo's. She has an excellent memory and basically has a photographic memory. So when Lu Yuyu stayed up late with liver problems, Wen Xiao fell asleep on the bed. Lu Yuyu and Chun Xiao almost hugged each other and cried again. Why is there such a big gap between people? Wen Xiao's school's final exam is scheduled for June 17, which is earlier than many colleges and universities. After a few homework exams, she feels that the first place is safe. Ever since Wen Xiao changed his personality, Zhuangyan has never won the first place, and he has become the second child of 10,000 years, which he is happy with. Sulu even wondered if Zhuangyan deliberately gave in to Wen Xiao, and when she thought of this, she felt angry again. On June 23, Wen Xiao's summer vacation life officially kicked off. When she returned home, she urged Wen Qi to write the test papers. After all, there were still 10 days left, and her 2 younger brothers were about to take the high school entrance examination. The trees are shady, and there are a lot of peaches in front of Uncle G's house. He took a bamboo basket, picked a basket, washed it and put it on the table, let the children eat it, boiled salted edamame, and a big cup of red bayberry juice. Wen Xiao lay leisurely on the recliner, with a straw hat covering her face, occasionally glanced at the boys who were writing their homework and Wen Mo who was playing Sudoku, and then continued to sleep with her eyes closed. After Shen Tian finished writing a test paper, he asked his third-year junior brother to check it for him, marked the mistakes, and then wrote the correct answer and steps to solve the problem on the draft paper. After Shen Tian corrected the question, he walked up to Wen Qiao. Wen Qiao took off the straw hat on her face, and the hot summer sun dappled her face through the shade of the trees. She could not help but narrow her eyes slightly. "What are you doing?" "Auntie, I've talked to my mother, and my mother agrees with me playing games." Wen Qiao glanced at him. "Really? Could it be fake?" "I analyzed the pros and cons with her. She is very clear about righteousness. She also thinks that if I take the exam by myself, I probably won't be able to get into any serious university. It must be a good thing to get into college by relying on special games." Wen Qiao nodded. "It's good that your family agrees. You still have to study hard at school, or you will be disqualified from being a contestant." Yes, I listen to my aunt." Wen Qiao coughed softly. "Don't shout about my aunt in front of my family, just shout in front of your uncle." After all, she wasn't married yet, so she always felt like her younger brothers and Xiaobo Dingai were ready to make a fuss when they heard the name aunt. Okay. When the sun went down and night came, Uncle G lit a coil of mosquito coils and put them under the table, where a large group of people had a lively dinner. Because Uncle G's craftsmanship is so good, another member of the Sangfan army has been added, and Shen Tian will come over for a meal every now and then. After dinner, the crowd dispersed, and Wen Qiao climbed up the acacia tree. This tree was old, with lush branches and leaves, and half of it stretched out of the courtyard wall. She sat on the tree trunk and swayed her legs. Grandma took the rope to walk the dog. She sent a message to the president of the W Guild. "Do you know the Pentagram organization? Are there organizations that wanted to grab famous paintings before?" The president has not replied, and Sunflower's profile picture is also gray. Wen Qiao sent another message to Sy. "Are you there? I have something important to ask you." Soon, she saw her family Xiao Mo walking out of the house, crossing the yard, going out the door, and stopped in the quiet alley, seemingly unaware that his own sister was sitting on the tree trunk, staring at him silently in a vertical posture. "Ask for a monthly ticket. I wish you all a happy Valentine's Day. I love you. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me. The boss lost his memory and only remembers me." Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 498. When Mo glanced back and forth at the alley, no one was coming and going, so he looked down at the phone. Wen Qiao got up slowly, walked slowly along the branches to the top of the wall, and then jumped. Wen Mo looked in horror at her sister who suddenly fell from the sky. Wen Qiao grabbed the phone in his hand. Wen Mo wanted to snatch it, but Wen Qiao grabbed his hand, and finally saw the familiar dialogue box, the W Guild chat dialogue box. When Mo finally came back to his senses and looked at his sister innocently. "You kid is hiding deep enough." When Mo dragged her sister to the back alley, and then looked like she had done something wrong, Wen Qiao gritted her teeth. "You have been hiding for so long, can you even trust your sister?" When Mo shook his head. No, I just don't know how to say it." "Don't you know what to say to my sister? Don't you know that I am busy?" When Mo nodded. "Well, I know." He knew it when his sister started to make voice calls for him to crack. "Then you don't say. You hacked all the computers of Wen Jianmin's company, and even hacked the computers that attacked Wen China's club. You were the one, right?" When Mo nodded innocently. I hate him, he bullies my sister, people in the club bully Wen Qi, Rather like a child who was caught doing something wrong, there was an unconcealable panic in his eyes. Wen Qiao's heart was so soft that it was a mess, and she reached out to touch his head. "My sister doesn't blame you. My sister thinks that you have done a good job." We don't take the initiative to cause trouble, but whoever provokes us, don't think about it. Wen Mo nodded. Then before Fu Nanli and I were in the nearby park, did you replace it with AI? Wen Mo nodded again, and Wen Qiao squinted at him. Why do you know that we will go to see the surveillance there? I think the relationship between sister and brother-in-law is a bit strange. I accidentally heard Sister Yo-Yo say that your dates are all in that park, so I hacked into that park and looked at your system. You set up a location search, but you couldn't find it? The monitoring of the two of you, just in case, I will fix it for my sister first. Wen Qiao patted his head. You really have the foresight. On the contrary, it was she herself who told too many lies to Fu Nanli at that time, and failed to take care of everything for a while, causing many omissions. In fact, Wen Qiao had already guessed that it was Xiao Mo from her family. After all, as soon as she was bullied by Wen Jianmin, the computer of Wen Jianmin's company suffered. As soon as Luo Ying from the CG Club slandered Wen Qi, the game that night was unlucky. This kid is smart, but sometimes he doesn't know how to hide himself. Now she wanted to discuss the president with him, so she had to expose this kid. She took Wen Mo up to the acacia tree together. The siblings sat on the thick trunk, and the moonlight shone dimly. Wen Qiao clicked his tongue lightly and asked, why is it called SY? Because we live on Shuying Road, I just chose Shuying's initials when I named them. Wen Qiao was at a loss for words. Ah, that's right. Well, fortunately, she still thought about what SY means for a long time. When did you join the W Guild? What was the opportunity to join? When I was just in the first grade of junior high school, I accidentally found a guild of the Global Network Alliance, so I added it casually. Do you know our president? Wen Mo frowned slightly. I don't know much about it, I only know that this guild was founded by him. How long has it been established? Wen Mo, from this year to the end of the year is 10 years. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 499. Do you know his identity? The information that can be found is that he is 22 years old, a college student in Quebec, Canada. Wen Qiao sighed, then I'm still a male high school student in Northern Europe. It seems that no one has left real information. It is estimated that only Yao Heng in the top 10 of the guild has left real information. When Mo looked at his sister, he is very powerful, I can't find out, why does my sister want to check him? When Qiao put his arms around his shoulders, it's nothing, I just asked him something, it's not important. Oh. So you said you got those mobile phones and computers at home in a lottery, but you actually bought them yourself, right? It is indeed a lottery draw, but I changed the program a bit, and I can win the lottery if I want to. Although Wen Mo is a very powerful hacker, he has no concept of money, and he didn't use his ability to make money. He just got a mobile phone when his family needed a mobile phone, and then got another one when his family needed a computer. Computer. What is a deposit? He has no idea at all. Although it is easy to make money with his ability. Wen Qiao reached out and hugged him. Thank you, Xiao Mo, for silently dedicating to this family. Wen Qi walked out of the kitchen with a bowl of mango sago dew, looked around, looked up and saw both of them on the tree, and shouted, what are you doing? Uncle Ji made dessert. Wen Qiao, come down to eat. Wen Qiao clicked his tongue softly, and muttered, Wen Qiao, why don't you call me by my name again? After finishing speaking, he jumped up, and when she handed her the bowl, I'll get you something to eat, you're still so fierce. Wen Qiao took the bowl, and Wen Mo also jumped down. Wen Qi was curious, what are you two doing? Wen Qiao raised her eyebrows. Did you understand the discussion about Xiaomo's physics Olympiad? Wen Qi seemed as if he had suffered some great humiliation. You are looking down on people. How good my physics grade is now. Okay then, let's discuss it. Leaving Wen Mo with a confused face. Is it really a discussion? The next day, Wen Qiao and Lu Yuyu went to the hospital to pick up Gu Xiao and leave the hospital. On the way back, in the car, Lu Yuyu's phone vibrated. She took out the phone and looked at it, then smiled lewdly at Wen Qiao. The boy sitting opposite the subway couldn't help but look at them more. What are you doing? Wen Qiao raised her eyebrows and looked at her. Lu Yuyu, you have to buy me milk tea. Why? Lu Yuyu put the phone in front of her eyes. I got the first place in the exam again. Wen Qiao chuckled. No problem, just drink milk tea, I'll buy you whatever you want. Lu Yuyu hugged Wen Qiao. You push my channel for me. The look in the boy's eyes became more and more wrong. Did you run into a lace etch? Okay, let's record the video tomorrow, and I'll go to your place to make a guest appearance. Thank you $1 million V for helping me advertise. Wen Qiao rubbed her head, eyes full of doting. Lu Yuyu lowered her head and swiped her phone again, and said Wen Qiao clicked her tongue softly. Why are you so surprised? Zhuangyan is the second. Isn't it normal for him to be second? Sulu is third. Wen Qiao's eyebrows trembled slightly. The three of them really couldn't get rid of each other. They always had to be tied together. When the scholarships were awarded after school started, it would be another good show. The third is the third, don't make such a fuss. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 500. The opponent is too weak, but she has no sense of accomplishment. Lu Yuyu said with a chuckle, I guess Sulu is very annoyed, no matter how hard she tries, she can't surpass you, she must be dissatisfied with the third place, do you believe it? Of course Wen Qiao believed it. Lu Yuyu knew Sulu, and she knew it better. Today Sulu doesn't dare to be a demon anymore, she is trying her best to overwhelm her in her homework and studies, and also wants to compete with her for authoritative awards in the music industry. Let's wait and see, who can be better. She would always convince Sulu to lose. Wen's house, Sulu's room, looking at the official website of the school's grade inquiry, freshman rankings, the name that is firmly on the top of the list, Sulu's face is a little distorted. She was 26 points short of Wen Qiao, and the 26 points were like a gap. She was almost on the verge of a head-scratcher, but the gap with Wen Qiao was still so big, how could she be reconciled? And what about Zhuangyan? Zhuangyan is only 7 points short of Wen Qiao. Did Zhuangyan give these 7 points on purpose? Just for Wen Qiao to get the first-class scholarship? Whether Zhuangyan did it on purpose or not, Sulu couldn't swallow the breath in his heart. If Zhuangyan did it on purpose, it means that Zhuangyan's love for Wen Qiao has reached the point of being irrational. If Zhuangyan didn't send points, it meant that Wen Qiao's strength was so strong that no one could be her opponent. Why? Why did Wen Qiao have such an insurmountable opponent in her life? She watched everything that belonged to her being snatched away by Wen Qiao, she was really unwilling. Sulu went directly to Zhuangyan and asked about the doubts in her heart. Zhuangyan suddenly became angry, who are you insulting? Are you insulting me or Wen Qiao? Every time something happened to Zhuangyan, Sulu would always lose her mind. Seeing Zhuangyan's livid face, she knew that she was impulsive again. One wrong step, and the source of the mistake was caused by Wen Qiao, she could never restore her image in Zhuangyan's heart. I would never do such a thing as deliberately throwing water. Wen Qiao has the strength to win the first place. You are a typical villain. Sulu had tears in her eyes, is it necessary for you to say such a heavy word? You used to be number one every time, but now you lose to Wen Qiao by a few points every time, anyone would think about it. Zhuangyan gritted his teeth and said, if you can't do it yourself, you think Wen Qiao can't do it either. I'll tell you plainly today that Wen Qiao won the first place based on his strength, and the first prize scholarship won. Rather than using the biggest if you want to maliciously speculate on others, it is better to improve your studies and piano skills, and rely on your true skills to convince everyone. After speaking, he got into the car angrily. Sulu watched his car gradually go away, and tears fell down. Wen Qiao and the others went to school the next day to take the final grading exam. Everything went well, and when the exam was over, I went to the dormitory, planning to pack my luggage, and the summer vacation officially began. It started to rain lightly on the road, and the few of them trotted all the way to the door of the dormitory. As soon as they went up 2 steps, someone bumped Wen Qiao hard from behind, accompanied by complaints, "What's wrong with you?" Wen Qiao looked back, "What? Why are you standing in front of me?" "Wen Qiao, it seems that you hit me first." It was Dai Yi, the school belle of the Academy of Drama, who bumped into Wen Qiao, that is, Dai Yi, the girlfriend who was used by Fu Zhang as a cover. Dai Yi glared at her, "So it's you.